With a look at the rules for the upcoming 3-on-3 soccer season here at Intramural Sports at Florida State University, I'm David Peters. This rules presentation designed to walk you through how to play 3-on-3 soccer, kind of our express version. Fewer players, obviously, much smaller field, and no goalies among the changes in our 3-on-3 soccer league here. In fact, coming up in this presentation, we'll talk about where to play as well and how to check in those sport rules for 3-on-3 soccer if you're not familiar, and a little bit on league information. Know that everything we do in Intramural Sports is based off of our 7 principles in Intramural Sports, such as involvement, participation, fair play and sportsmanship, and safety. And you'll see some safety rules come into effect here in soccer in particular. 3-on-3 soccer is played out at the Rec Sportsplex, either on the west or east side, so make sure you check your schedule to see where you're going. No alcohol, no tobacco, no pets, no glass containers are allowed at the RSP. And if you need a map to get out to our award-winning facility, check online at campusrec.fsu.edu/RSP map. Player check-in occurs at the field house, either the West Field House if we're over there or the East Field House, depending on where you're scheduled, but not at the fields in all cases. So make sure that your players stop by the field house with their current valid FSU card prior to every match to get checked in. You'll just do that at the check-in windows. It only takes a quick second, but you'll want to make sure that you're there probably about 10 minutes beforehand to get checked in and make your way out to the field so you can be at the field by the time match time rolls around. Know that you can come early and check in and then do some warming up near your field. That's absolutely fine too. In 3-on-3 soccer, each participant may only play on one team, and once you're on a team, you are locked into that team for the rest of the season. So make sure that those people who are joining your roster are aware that they can't change teams after the season, after they've already signed in that first time. For more information about other things that our captains need to know, you'll want to view our Team Captains podcast or check online to the 7 Principles of Intramural Sports, available separately, and you can get the link to both of those at campusrec.fsu.edu/IM. And sportsmanship, also very important to us, both by teams and participants. It's one of our top priorities. And all teams, which include players and fans, are rated every game on a scale of 0 to 4, and you have to have a 3.0 average to advance to the postseason. So to learn more about sportsmanship and our guidelines, again, another podcast and information is available separately through our website. All right, let's get to the rules for 3-on-3 soccer. And this first one's kind of obvious. It takes 3 to play in our men's and women's leagues for 3-on-3 soccer. You have to have a full team there, so all 3 are required to start. We just don't think the experience is good in 3-on-3 soccer when you're playing 2-on-3, for example. So got to have 3 to play. 2 players at game time will result in a default. 1 player or no one showing up is a forfeit, and that's costly because there's a fine to the team captain when you forfeit. So make sure you get enough players there at least to avoid that costly forfeit fine. Now, we also have a limit to the number of players who can be signed in for a particular match, and that's 5. So you can't just come out there with 12 players and substitute all the time throughout the match. We let you have 2 subs along with the 3 players you need on the field to make 5 in total. Now, your season roster remains unlimited, so you can play the first week with 5 players and change it up and play 5 different players in the next week, or even if you have a doubleheader, you can play 5 players in the first match and 5 different players in the second match. But for a single match, there's a maximum on your roster, we call it the game roster, of 5 players. So make sure you take that into account as you're recruiting your team. We always encourage some subs because it's good when you have some players who can't come at the last minute, but not everyone can play every match with that limit of 5 per match. Player equipment, well, we do have soccer balls there. You can bring your own or you can rent those from us or actually just borrow them. There's no charge to check those out at the field house when you get out there to the Rec Sportsplex. We strongly recommend and encourage the use of shin guards. Know that shoes are certainly required. Metal spikes and metal cleats are not, however, prohibited, or they are prohibited. They are not permitted in 3-on-3 soccer. Teams should wear similar color jerseys. When I say that, just t-shirts with the same colors are absolutely fine. We don't require numbers in intramural 3-on-3 soccer. You can borrow some pennies from us if that is necessary out at the fields as well. And jewelry is not allowed to be worn by any participant. All right, take a look at the field. It is much smaller than your standard soccer field because it's 3-on-3, so we're on a field that is 40 yards by 30 yards, and the goal box is 4 yards by 3 yards. And we'll talk more about the goal box in a minute because there are no goalies. So it does play a big part of the rules of 3-on-3 soccer. Now the match lengths, these are pretty quick. They are 2 10-minute halves, with the match time being kept by our on-field referee. So most of our 3-on-3 soccer matches occur in about a 30-minute block, and so oftentimes you'll get a double header so we can make your trip out to the Rec Sportsplex worth it with a couple of matches instead. Know that the game runs continuously, the clock does at least. There are no timeouts. Regular season matches can end in a tie, but playoff matches, we need a winner to get to the next round, so we will have both an overtime and, if necessary, a 3-person shootout. So here are the overtime rules for the playoffs. 3 minutes. It's a very quick overtime period. It is golden goal, so if a team scores in that extra 3 minutes, then the match is decided. If no one scores in those 3 minutes, then we will have a 3-person shootout, and that involves the 3 players that are on the field at the end of the overtime period. They will shoot the penalty kicks, and we'll talk about how those are different as well in 3-on-3 coming up in just a bit. And you'll alternate after each shot, obviously, until we have a winner. And if we don't after 3, if we have the same number of makes by each team, then it'll go into the sudden victory where each team will get an opportunity to score. And this comes into play as well. The sudden victory shots after 4, 7, and 10, we actually move the penalty kick shot spot back. So you're actually kicking from a farther distance from the goal because we have no goalies. So there's nothing stopping you from scoring. It's just you and the goal as you try to get it in there during a penalty kick. More on that in a second. 5 at 5 is our mercy rule here in 3-on-3 soccer. So any team that's up by 5 or more goals with 5 minutes or less remaining in the second half, that will cause the match to end, and we'll have a victory for that team that is ahead. As I mentioned, no goalkeepers in 3-on-3 soccer. So this goal box is what is very important here, and how players can run through it, they can, but if they touch the ball in this particular area, that is a problem. So let's talk about that. You may not, as an offensive player or a defensive player, touch the ball while it is in the goal box. You can move through, that's certainly fine, but if you run through the goal box, know that you have to be wholly outside of the goal box. That is, both feet must touch outside of the goal box for you to be considered outside of the box before you can play the ball again. So we don't keep you out of there, but you got to make sure that you're out before you touch the ball. Now, if you do touch the ball in the goal box, here are the penalties that occur. For the defender, if the defense touches the ball inside the goal box, the offensive team is awarded a penalty kick. If the offensive player touches the ball inside the goal box, just a couple feet away from scoring, well, that stops the goal. In fact, the defensive team will take the ball for a goal kick. And if the ball stops inside, just rolls to a stop, or it stops on the line, then the defense also takes over there with a goal kick. Now, scoring a goal happens when the ball wholly crosses the goal line, and we're not using large soccer goals here. These are pop-up goals, so very small goals indeed. But the ball, for a goal to occur, must be touched by a player of either team on the offensive side of the midfield line prior to ending the goal. So you can't just kick it from one end and get lucky and score on the other end of the field. That is not allowed in 3-on-3 soccer. Instead, someone must touch the ball, either an offensive or defensive player, on the side of the field in which the goal is going to occur. If it is not touched, it's just considered out of bounds, even if it goes in, and depending on who it was last touched by, it'll either be a goal kick or a corner kick. So, got to be touched in order to score on the offensive side of the field. Now, we have kick-ins instead of throw-ins in 3-on-3 soccer. So if it goes out of bounds along the sideline, then we have a kick-in. And it's simply the team that is entitled to that possession will bring the ball over to the sideline, place it on the ground near where the ball went out, and kick the ball in. It's considered an indirect kick, and so it'll be placed there. The defender and any other players need to be at least 5 yards back, 5 yards back from the spot of the kick-in. The ball is in play as soon as it's touched by the kicker, but the kicker can't be the second person to touch it. So someone else has to touch the kick in before the person who kicked it in off the sideline can touch it again. Now, a goal kick is on that end line, so if it goes out of bounds on the end line and the defense is awarded a goal kick, they may place the ball anywhere along the goal line outside of the goal box area. So you've got plenty of options on where to put that ball for the goal kick, and again, defenders must be at least 5 yards back, so the same sort of area applies for where players may position themselves away from the spot of the goal kick. And corner kicks, finally, are awarded when a ball crosses the end line, and we have it for the offense in the corner. It's placed within 1 yard of the corner flag or cone. You can't move the flag or the cone. Not always do we draw the circle, and so we just kind of give you this 3 feet away from the flag or the cone. Same thing again, the opposing team has to be 5 yards away from that particular spot. All right, if we have some fouls, here's how those work. Any player who commits a foul will have a resultant indirect free kick for the opposing team. So that's how that works. Again, indirect right here. A penalty kick will be awarded for serious or intentional rule infractions that take place by the defensive team. A penalty kick, in the referee's opinion, is something that will be awarded when a scoring opportunity was nullified by the infraction. And these can occur anywhere on the field. Because we have a goal box, we do not have a penalty box. So we don't have fouls that occur in that zone. So anywhere on the field where we have something that is serious and intentional as a rule infraction can result in a penalty kick. Now, dead ball kicks, those kick-ins I mentioned, free kicks, kickoffs, all of that are considered indirect in this game, with the exception of corner kicks, which can go right in the goal, and obviously penalty kicks, which can go right in the goal. But all the rest of our dead ball kicks are indirect in nature, and that just means that another player must touch the ball before it enters the goal. Now, what about that penalty kick? Again, we don't have a penalty box, we don't have a penalty spot. Instead, penalty kicks are taken at the half-field line. There's nobody in between, so it is just the person taking the kick and the goal. All they have to do is kick it in from midfield. Anywhere along that. So you can take it from the middle of the field, you can take it from the side. It is the choice of the person taking the penalty kick. All the rest of the players have to be behind that midfield line and at least 5 yards away from where the penalty kick is taking place. Note that if a goal is not scored, the penalty kick is not live. So if it goes in, it's good for a goal. If not, the defense will get possession and will take a goal kick as a result of a missed penalty kick. What about offsides? Well, simply, it does not exist in 3-on-3 soccer. There aren't enough players out there, really, but this is certainly not a rule in rec soccer either for us. In 7-on-7, it's not a rule in 3-on-3 either. This rule also carries over from our regular rec soccer season, and that is sliding. It is not permitted whether you are sliding near someone or you are sliding away from someone. Sliding, and we're going to define that different from slide tackling, but neither of them are allowed. So we encourage you to let your players know that that technique, sliding, which I know is part of soccer, and for many of you who have been playing competitive soccer for a long time, is not permitted in rec soccer and 3-on-3 soccer leagues here in intramurals at Florida State. So what is sliding? Well, a slide occurs when any player leaves his or her feet and leads with his or her feet to play the ball anywhere on the field. But we consider it a slide when the sliding player does not contact the opposing player and is away from players. So think about you sliding at a sideline to try to save the ball. Not allowed in our particular leagues. You just need to take sliding and that technique out of your game plan. This is a safety issue for rec soccer. We know sliding takes technique, and whether you're defending yourself from a slide or a slide tackle is something that not all of our rec soccer players have that kind of talent, and so for that reason, we make sure that we're trying to remain as safe as possible, and we do not allow sliding or slide tackling. So sliding, no contact. Slide tackling, contact. So if you are playing the ball while it's near another player and the slider contacts either the opposing player or the ball when it's near another player, that is considered a slide tackle. And the penalties for this are different. That's why we are trying to make the distinction here right now of what is a slide versus what is a slide tackle. But the general gist here is just don't slide because there's a penalty for all of that. So when you have a slide, again, that was the one away from other players, no contact, it is a yellow card and an indirect kick for the offended team. That is sliding. Now, slide tackling results in a blue card the first time a team does it. And a blue card for the offending player results in a penalty kick in 3-on-3 soccer for the offended team. The offending player is not dismissed, so it's really just an automatic penalty kick when we have a slide tackle in 3-on-3 soccer. If it's malicious, a red card can be issued, and that player may be dismissed, but can be replaced in 3-on-3 soccer. However, blue card, again, automatic penalty kick for a slide tackle. And you just get one of those, the team's first slide tackle. After that, all subsequent offenses of slide tackling results in a red card for the offending player and a penalty kick for the offended team. And so in the cases of 3-on-3 soccer, a little different than 7-on-7 soccer, the offending player is ejected but can be replaced because we just don't feel like the match is good when you're playing against a person down. So if you have a substitute available and someone receives a red card in 3-on-3 soccer, they are eligible to be replaced. But again, we only give you that blue card once, so it's still a penalty kick again here for slide tackling. It's just a red card on offenses 2 and greater. A red card is deemed an ejection, so there may be further disciplinary action. As I mentioned, if you get dismissed because of a red card and there is a sub available in 3-on-3 soccer, they can come in and get your team back up to the number of players that they would like to have, which is 3. And again, the red cards do hurt sportsmanship, so we encourage you to avoid those at all costs. All right, let's look at the rules. Let's look at where we play. Quick note here that you want to make sure that you take your team captain's exam by the deadlines established online. You'll see that there. And if you have changes to your registration, let us know in the office or via email. And you can learn more about all the deadlines and how to take the exam on our website. It does rain on occasion during our soccer season, so make sure you call or check online to figure out if we're having matches on the night that after a day that it's rained. Just a quick shower at 4 o'clock does not mean that things are going to be rained out. We encourage you to either call the rain line, check on Twitter at FSU IM Rainline as our dedicated account for field status, or go online to our website at campusrec.fsu.edu/IM. You can learn about that as well. Again, like I said, just don't assume that an afternoon shower is going to cancel games. We really want to try to play as many as we can, so we'll try to work through that. Regular season games that are rained out generally are not rescheduled, but obviously we do reschedule postseason games because we have to have a winner as we move on through. We do not contact teams when there is a rain out, so you'll just want to check online for any reschedule information, typically by the afternoon following the previous evening's rain. All right, other season information, the team captain's guide and regular season schedules, it's all available right on our website, campusrec.fsu.edu/im. And you should know that we take all teams out of the regular season to the playoffs as long as you have the required sportsmanship score. You do not have to win a match in the regular season. We'll take you to the postseason and get you at least one more match there as well. And perhaps you'll win the title, even without winning a regular season game. Hey, if you have more questions about 3-on-3 soccer or anything in intramural sports, give us a call in our office at 850-644-2430 or stop by Tully Gym and talk to us in person. You can also email us from our website and learn so much more. It's all online at campusrec.fsu.edu/im. With a look at the soccer rules, I'm David Peters. Good luck in this upcoming intramural sports season.